Alright everyone, welcome back. We have a incredibly interesting war. My fights are pretty straightforward, but concerning the outcome, it was incredibly wild. We took every last minute, every last second to complete the map, and as a result, my stress levels were completely maxed out because this war ended up being so close. I ended up missing my parry there, and that's a skill issue on my part, my bad. And so we are gonna end up waking up with those hits. So shout out to Domino for essentially getting me into the zone concerning this essentially easy fight with Nimrod versus everything that she has to offer. And so with it, incredibly straightforward. Nimrod versus Domino on Hazard is really just a gimme placement, and so with that, I want to keep my spacing up as essentially as consistent as possible. That way, I can get my mind right for the next fight. The next fight will be a new thing for me because it is the Hazard node with Incinerate and also Poison, but Luke Cage isn't immune to any of those debuffs. But it's not gonna matter, mostly due to the fact that Luke Cage is, again, a tactic attacker. And so, for every debuff that I have placed on Chavez, I'm going to be gaining 35% damage over time resistance. And so, the main thing I need to watch out for, which was just showcased, is the Unstoppable that will essentially proc every time I activate a buff. That includes my Dex as well as my Indestructible. And so I want to do my best, as I learned literally halfway through the fight, to keep up my slow, but at the same time getting as quickly as possible to my SP3 to essentially finish the fight. And those are all my section 1 fights, soloed, perfect. Even though I got hit, Luke Cage and Nimrod tank those hits like a beast. Now, we're on this mojo, and watch how Luke Cage handles the power gain as well as handles the tactic. From 2 combos, I am close to essentially 50%, which is kind of busted when you consider the relic that Luke Cage best synergizes with, as well as how well he's able to essentially negate Mojo by not even getting to an SP3. And I'm super satisfied with that fight. Now, we're moving on to a Weapon X here on EMP modification. Last time I took this fight, Domino was here. But now, with Weapon X, what I want to do is just to essentially start with an invulnerability boost, because my charges, considering Nimrod's abilities, allows me to gain temporary armors, and those armors are going to feed prey on the weak. And so it's not going to be a totally straightforward Nimrod fight. I just have to be aware and literally use my brewing when launching my SP2 for that the max damage, because not only do I have to keep an eye on my shocks, but also when my armors expire. And so something that helps with that is Nimrod's power drain. You could run Collar Tech, but this meta, you don't really need it. Now, this fight I absolutely adored, because while going through it, while boosting up, it was more or less just like, okay, it's scared stiff. I know that Luke Cage isn't buff immune, but I want to be able to handle Maw as best as I can in a way to where, okay, I'm able to counter him when it comes to his heavy, but also use Root to my advantage. And so I want to try and block as much as possible, because even though Bubble Shield is up, it allows me to ramp my relic damage even more. And I'm not so worried about the nullification degen when it comes to Maw placing that Fury buff from his SP1, mostly because, again, the damage over time resistance absolutely kills Maw's degen, and this is going to kill. The SP3 absolutely slaughters Maw and allows me to finish the fight before he can even get to, again, his own SP3. And so, I have one more fight, but it is essentially one of the most, really, easiest fights for Luke to take besides Sasquatch on 47. And so, with that, really, Luke counters everything on this node. Now, when I say everything, Aspect of Evolution allows Mangog to essentially gain attack, gain power gain for every bar of power he crosses. But with Luke, I'm literally just gonna go to my SP3 and win. And you'll see what I mean by that soon. Now I launch it, and this allows me to place 4 exhaustion debuffs, which again enhance my damage even more. It's a fight that I've taken so often. Now if you notice, the power gain is to a point to where the reversal isn't as potent, but that's why Luke is literally an absolute juggernaut when it comes to this node. And the reason I wasn't too worried about him launching his SP3 is due to the fact that I had my indestructible buff to fall back on. Now, we did end up winning this war, and oh my gosh, this alliance loves to make me stress. We ended up winning, but at the same time, some of the deaths that we gave up were not counted. You see, when you die more than 3 times on a node, the deaths after that you give up do not count. And in the next war, we're hoping to fix all of those circumventing issues and execute what we know we're capable of, because we want to finish in top 10 masters by the end of this season.